Some Fords die at 80,000 miles, while others grind past 700,000 like they're just getting warmed up. So is it really Ford's engineering that kills these cars early? Or is it the owner's habits? And if that's true, then what tiny mistakes are silently destroying thousands of Fords long before their time? Let's find out. The transmission time bomb. Let's start with the biggest villain of them all, the PowerShift transmission. You've probably heard the horror stories, shuddering off the line, banging into gear, or that sinking feeling when the car refuses to move in reverse. But what actually made this thing so infamous? How could a modern transmission fail so often and so early? Well, it's simple. It was never built to survive real-world heat. Ford's dry clutch setup sounded smart on paper, but out on the road it overheated like crazy because it didn't have the cooling that a typical wet clutch system enjoys. Add leaking input shaft seals that dripped fluid onto the clutch packs, and suddenly owners were staring at $5,000 repair bills before hitting even 100,000 miles. But is it actually possible to keep this problematic transmission alive? Surprisingly, yes, with the right habits. The first big move is ignoring Ford's sealed for life claim and changing the transmission fluid every 60,000 miles. Fresh fluid clears out the metal dust that slowly chokes the mechatronics unit. The second trick is adding an auxiliary transmission cooler. Drop your fluid temps by 20 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and suddenly the clutch packs stop cooking themselves to death. With just these two steps, a transmission famous for dying at 80,000 miles can cruise past 200,000 miles. The EcoBoost carbon catastrophe. Now, if the PowerShift was Ford's loud, obvious problem, the EcoBoost engines were the quiet ones causing trouble behind the scenes. And here's the question that puzzled owners everywhere. How could an engine this advanced, this hyped, start losing efficiency so early? The answer is surprisingly simple. Carbon, a lot of it. Ford's switch to direct injection meant fuel no longer washed over the intake valves the way it used to. Without that natural cleaning effect, those valves turned into the perfect landing pad for oil vapors. So where were these oil vapors even coming from? Well, the PCV system. Tiny amounts of oil blow-by were sneaking past the pistons, drifting into the intake, and baking themselves onto the valves like burnt sugar on a pan. Combine that with the high compression of a turbo engine and incomplete combustion, and suddenly by 60 to 80,000 miles, you had rough, idle, sluggish throttle response and a check engine light that seemed to come on purely out of spite. So how do some EcoBoost owners still squeeze 150,000 plus smooth miles? They install catch cans to trap those vapors before they hit the intake. They used better fuel to keep combustion cleaner. They changed their oil every 5,000 to 7,500 miles. One Fusion owner even documented a spotless valve inspection at 148,000 miles just by sticking to these simple habits. But engines and transmissions still give you warning signs. Electrical failures? Those sneak up like ghosts. So why does Ford's electronics fail so unpredictably? Electrical issues in the body control module, nightmare. The culprit is often moisture, the silent killer. Leaky windshields, clogged sunroof drains, bad door seals, all dripping right onto the body control module. Corrosion would spread across the circuits, causing everything from random warning lights to full-on no-start situations. Add in wiring harness chafing, sometimes bad enough to trigger the parking brake while driving, and you've got a system begging for attention. So what was the owner's defense? Rigorous leak hunts, monthly wiring inspections, and most important of all, cleaning those ground points so the entire electrical system had solid, stable voltage. One shop even traced dozens of no-start Fords to a single loose ground bolt. Now, if the EcoBoost carbon drama and the electrical issues weren't already enough to test a Ford owner's patience, what actually pushes some Fords into the scrapyard long before their time? Cooling system complacency and head gasket disasters. And the surprising answer is something most people overlook: the cooling system. See, many owners assume their cooling system was maintenance-free. Rubber hoses, for example, slowly degrade from the inside out. Heat, pressure, and constant cycling weaken them until one random day. Boom. Coolant dumps out in seconds. And when an aluminum Ford engine runs without coolant, It overheats so fast the head can warp before the temperature gauge even moves. Suddenly, you're staring at a $1,500 to $5,000 repair bill and wondering how it all happened so quietly. But thermostats usually fail without warning. If they stick open, the engine never reaches proper temperature, which means more fuel is burned and more carbon buildup. If they stick closed, heat skyrockets until you're seconds away from engine meltdown, long before the gauge admits anything's wrong. So how did some Ford owners avoid these silent disasters and keep their engines alive past 700,000 miles? Well, the long-distance champions replaced every major coolant component, pause, all hoses, and the thermostat every 100,000 miles or 10 years. No waiting for cracks or leaks. They flushed coolant on a strict 60,000-mile rhythm to keep corrosion from forming, and the moment they smelled that sweet coolant scent or saw steam under the hood, they stopped immediately instead of just driving a little farther. And if coolant can kill a Ford quietly, what about the fluids nobody ever thinks about? The forgotten fluids and transmission torture. That leads us into the forgotten fluids, the ones that turn so many transmissions and differentials into metal confetti. Sealed for life was a marketing slogan, not a survival strategy. Transmission fluid thickened into abrasive sludge. Differential oil broke down until gears carved each other apart. Brake fluid absorbed moisture until the pedal practically fell through the floor, and power steering fluid turned into gritty tar that shredded pumps and racks. But here's the twist. Simply changing the transmission fluid every 60,000, refreshing the differential oil at 30 to 60,000, flushing brake fluid every few years, and swapping power steering fluid before it turned corrosive dramatically extended its lifespan. But even with all that care, one more hidden threat lurks beneath the surface. A tiny component that can quietly rob your engine of power and lifespan. The oxygen sensor silent killer. So how can a part the size of your finger quietly ruin an engine and a catalytic converter without triggering a single warning light? Here's the thing. These sensors sit in exhaust temperatures that can touch 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, flipping voltage dozens of times per second, so the computer knows exactly how to balance air and fuel. But by around 90,000 to 110,000 miles, that rapid switching slows down. Not enough to set off a check engine light, but enough to trick the engine into running rich. Suddenly, your fuel economy drops by 2 or 3 miles per gallon, and you don't even know why. But what happens to all that extra fuel? It burns inside the catalytic converter, pushing its temperature up to levels it was never designed to handle. A few months of that abuse, and the internal honeycomb starts to melt. Once it clogs, the engine chokes, power collapses, and you're staring at a $2,400 bill, all because a $60 sensor aged quietly in the background. The owners who made their Fords last didn't wait for failure. They used cheap Bluetooth scanners, watched the sensor's switching speed at 2,000 RPM, and replaced it the moment it dipped below 4 flips per second. That tiny habit spared thousands of dollars. So if one forgotten sensor can destroy an engine, what else are we missing during everyday ownership? And the answer is almost embarrassingly simple. Weekly fluid checks. The 700,000-mile owners relied on their own eyes. Every single week, they popped the hood, checked the oil level after the engine rested, glanced at the coolant height, examined the transmission fluid color, and made sure brake and power steering fluid weren't dark or contaminated. 2 minutes a week, that's it. Yet those 2 minutes separated engines that died at 100,000 from engines that cruised past 700,000. So has your Ford ever scared you with a weird noise? Or is it still running like it wants to hit 700,000? Let us know in the comments. And hey, if you've ever argued with your check engine light, you're officially one of us. So tap subscribe and hit like before your catalytic converter melts from jealousy.